You're living in the most blackout-prone developed nation on Earth. Since 2000, the US has suffered more major power outages than any other country in the world. And it's not slowing down. Weather-related blackouts have surged by 67% in the last decade. And in 2024 alone, more than 25 million Americans were left sitting in the dark. That means 1 out of every 4 households already tasted the chaos. So let me ask you, when your lights die tonight, are you prepared to survive? Or will you just become another statistic waiting for FEMA? Because make no mistake, the grid isn't reliable. The government won't save you, and every minute you stay unprepared pushes you closer to panic. This isn't fear, it's math. And the numbers don't lie. 10. Blackouts are becoming the new normal. Let me hit you with a hard truth. Blackouts are no longer rare acts of God. They're becoming a guaranteed part of American life. In fact, in 2024, the U.S. experienced its highest number of weather-related power outages in recorded history. And 2025 projections aren't looking better. Why? Because our power grid is literally falling apart. The average age of transformers in America is over 40 years old, many built before the internet even existed. These weren't designed for today's climate chaos, let alone the massive electricity load of millions of air conditioners, EV chargers, and digital devices. And when they fail catastrophically. A single transformer fire can plunge entire cities into darkness for days. Experts now estimate that 70% of Americans could experience a blackout lasting longer than 24 hours in the next 5 years. Add cyber attacks into the mix, and you've got a recipe for nationwide chaos. In 2024, U.S. officials reported that hackers attempted to breach utility control systems over 60,000 times per month. Think about that. Your lights aren't just at risk from storms. They're under constant digital siege. And while the government talks about modernizing the grid, the reality is most upgrades are decades away and cost billions we don't have. So don't think of blackouts as freak events. Think of them as scheduled surprises. You need to plan your life like every year will bring multiple outages, because odds are it will. And the people who shrug it off, they're the ones you'll see panicking when the lights don't come back on. 9. Your water supply isn't as secure as you think. When the lights go out, most people worry about food and flashlights. But here's a fact nobody tells you. Your taps depend on electricity. No power, no water pumps. Within hours, your faucets turn bone dry. And this isn't hypothetical. During the Texas grid collapse, millions lost access to safe drinking water in less than 48 hours. Even worse, treatment plants can't filter or disinfect without power, meaning if water does come through, it may be contaminated with bacteria, heavy metals, or even raw sewage. In 2023, a CDC study revealed that waterborne disease outbreaks spiked dramatically after major blackouts. And let's be brutally honest, Americans are not prepared. The average U.S. household has less than 2 days of water stored, far below FEMA's minimum recommendation. That's a death sentence when outages drag on. For urban areas, it's even more dangerous. High-rise apartments rely on electric pumps to move water above the ground floor. When those fail, the top half of every skyscraper becomes a desert. Imagine living on the 20th floor with zero water pressure, no showers, no flushing toilets, not even a glass of water unless you haul it up the stairs. And here's the nightmare scenario. A grid failure during summer heat waves. Hydration becomes life or death. Hospitals report that dehydration-related ER visits jump by 300% during extended outages. So here's your wake-up call. If you don't have barrels, containers, and purification systems ready, you're one blackout away from standing in line for bottled water with thousands of desperate neighbors, fighting over the last case of Dasani. 8. Grocery stores become war zones. People love to think, I'll just hit the store if the power goes out. Wrong. Here's the brutal truth. You've got 6 hours before shelves are stripped bare. A 2024 report from the Food Marketing Institute confirmed that supermarkets hold just 3 days of inventory under normal conditions. But when panic hits, that inventory evaporates in hours. And blackouts don't just close stores, they destroy them. Freezers thaw, dairy spoils, meat becomes biohazard waste. During Hurricane Ian, entire supermarket chains had to dump thousands of pounds of food straight into dumpsters. People were literally digging through rotting garbage piles looking for something edible. Now add violence to the equation. A 2023 Homeland Security analysis found that civil disturbances at supermarkets spike within 48 hours of prolonged outages. Translation: people fight, steal, and riot when shelves go empty. And don't think your local Walmart is immune. During the 2021 Texas freeze, even giant box stores had lines wrapping around parking lots, with security guards breaking up fights over bottled water and propane. And here's where it gets darker. Without power, most stores can't process credit cards or digital payments. If you don't have cash, you're out of luck. By day 3, shelves are bare. By day 4, parking lots turn hostile. And by day 5, those stores might as well be abandoned warehouses with broken windows. So ask yourself, do you really want to drag your family into that chaos? Or do you want to be the one sitting at home, calm, fed, and safe, because you stocked up before everyone else panicked? 7. Medical emergencies multiply in the dark. Nobody talks about this, but blackouts kill more through medical fallout than anything else. Think about the millions of Americans who depend on powered medical devices, CPAP machines, oxygen concentrators, dialysis equipment, insulin refrigeration. When power dies, so does their safety net. In 2023, the CDC reported a 300% increase in medical emergencies tied directly to power outages. And the sad truth, most of these deaths were preventable with proper preparation. Even basic medical care collapses during blackouts. Pharmacies can't dispense prescriptions. Hospitals run on backup generators that sometimes fail. Remember New York during Hurricane Sandy, when staff carried patients down pitch-black stairwells as ventilators died. That wasn't a movie, that was reality. And if you think 911 will save you, think again. During major outages, emergency response times can double or triple. In some cities, dispatch systems themselves go offline, leaving people screaming into dead phones. Meanwhile, household accidents skyrocket. Falls in pitch-black stairwells, carbon monoxide poisoning from improper generator use, burns from candles or makeshift stoves. Studies show that during multi-day outages, ER visits surge by over 20% just from preventable home accidents. And let's not forget medications. Nearly 60% of Americans take at least one prescription daily. How many of those require refrigeration or careful timing? A single missed dose can spiral into crisis. During the Texas freeze, diabetics across the state begged for insulin on social media because their supplies had spoiled. This is why backup power solutions for medical devices, extra medication stockpiles, and old-fashioned paper medical records aren't luxuries, they're survival tools. 6. Portable power is your digital lifeline. Now let's talk about the modern Achilles heel, your phone. In today's world, losing power isn't just inconvenient. It cuts you off from navigation, emergency alerts, banking, even communication with loved ones. And most people's plan, a single cheap power bank they bought years ago and never charged. That's not a plan, that's a false sense of security. Here's the reality. A proper emergency power setup should include multiple layers. Start with high-capacity power banks, 10,000 to 20,000 mAh minimum. That's 3 to 5 full phone charges, not one. New 2025 models charge at blazing 65W speeds, giving you half a battery in under 20 minutes. But the real game changer, portable power stations. These aren't your little bricks. They're suitcase-sized beasts that can run refrigerators, laptops, CPAP machines, and even Wi-Fi routers. Companies like EcoFlow and Anchor now sell models that charge via solar panels, meaning you can stay powered indefinitely as long as the sun rises. And don't underestimate redundancy. Keep smaller banks in your car, bedside table, and go bag. Because when the blackout hits at 2 a.m., you don't want to stumble through darkness searching for the one charger you forgot to maintain. But here's the crucial part most people overlook. Battery care. Extreme heat or cold destroys lithium cells. A dead stored battery is a dead investment. Check and top off monthly. Store at room temperature, and invest in foldable solar panels, some no bigger than a briefcase, that can generate continuous power during extended outages. In a world where our entire lives are digital, portable power isn't a luxury, it's survival. 5. Heat and cold will kill you faster than hunger. You think hunger is the big killer during blackouts. Wrong. It's temperature. Whether it's sweltering heat or bone-cracking cold, your body has a terrifyingly short tolerance window. In the summer of 2023 alone, over 2,300 Americans officially died from heat-related causes, and researchers say the real number was far higher because heat deaths often go unreported. During the Texas freeze of 2021, hundreds froze to death in their own homes, some of them literally sitting in living rooms that became refrigerators overnight. Here's the hidden danger. Blackouts often coincide with extreme weather, because the very storms and heat waves that overload the grid are the same ones knocking it offline. Lose AC during a 100-degree-plus heat wave, and your home becomes a furnace. Interior temperatures can soar higher than outside because of trapped heat. Elderly and infants are the first to die. Heat stroke, dehydration, cardiac arrest. In winter it's hypothermia, which doesn't just strike at 20 degrees Fahrenheit. It can set in at 50 degrees Fahrenheit, if you're wet or exhausted. Within hours your judgment deteriorates. You don't even realize you're dying until your body shuts down. And here's the kicker. The solutions most people turn to, like generators or gas stoves, kill just as effectively through carbon monoxide poisoning. During outages, Colorado poisoning risk skyrockets by 930%. That's why real preparation means layering clothing, stockpiling Mylar blankets, using quality sleeping bags, and securing safe heating and cooling alternatives. Because here's the harsh reality: no amount of canned food matters if you cook to death or freeze in your own home before you ever get hungry. 4. Communications blackouts mean you're blind and deaf. When the grid collapses, it's not just your lights. Your lifeline to the outside world disappears too. Cell towers need power. Internet servers need power. During extended outages, communications collapse like dominoes. After Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico, 95% of cell towers failed, leaving millions in silence for weeks. Families couldn't call for help, couldn't check on loved ones, couldn't even confirm if rescue crews were coming. That's how panic spreads, through silence. Think about how dependent we are today. Without GPS, most people couldn't find the nearest hospital if their life depended on it. Without texts you don't know if your kids are safe, and without weather alerts, you won't know if the storm that knocked out your power is about to hit again, harder. During the 2024 Midwest tornado blackouts, emergency responders admitted that half their efforts were blind guesses because communication systems were down. That's not just inconvenient, that's lethal. So what's the solution? Redundancy. Hand crank or solar radios that pull emergency broadcasts from hundreds of miles away. Walkie-talkies with neighborhood channels. Even old-fashioned printed contact lists, because your phone is nothing but a dead brick without power. In 2023, FEMA quietly admitted that most Americans are unprepared for total communication failure, and that's exactly what you face in a long blackout. Imagine sitting in pitch blackness, no idea if power is coming back in hours or weeks, no way to know if your city is safe or under evacuation orders. That's not just scary, it's chaos. Without comms, you're blind. And blind people don't survive long. 3. Crime doesn't stop just because the power does. Here's something no official will say out loud. Blackouts are magnets for crime. When the lights die, predators see opportunity. During the New York City blackout of 1977, over 1,600 stores were looted, and 550 police officers injured in just 25 hours. That wasn't a freak event. It's human nature under pressure. Darkness is the perfect cover for burglary, theft, even assault. In 2022, a study of power outages across California found that crime rates jumped up to 30% during extended blackouts. Think about it: no street lights, no security cameras, no alarms. Police are overwhelmed with emergencies, response times triple, and criminals know it. And it doesn't take days for this to start, it happens within hours. During the Texas freeze, some neighborhoods reported thieves targeting homes with visible generators, because light and noise advertised who had power. Desperate people break into cars looking for phone chargers, siphon gas from vehicles, and raid homes for food. Don't think your safe suburb is immune. Crime doesn't care about your zip code, it cares about opportunity. So how do you prepare? First, security doesn't stop in a blackout. Battery-powered motion lights, reinforced doors, window locks, and yes, having actual defensive tools, if things get desperate. Second, community matters. Neighborhood watch groups aren't just for peacetime, they're your best defense when the grid is dark. Remember this: when systems collapse, police can't protect you, you protect you. And the moment the power goes out, you're no longer just dealing with darkness, you're dealing with predators who thrive in it. 2. Your finances become frozen plastic. You've probably heard that cash matters during blackouts, but let's dig into the raw numbers that prove it. The Federal Reserve found that over 60% of Americans carry less than $50 in cash. That's a joke when the power grid goes down. Why? Because 90% of U.S. transactions run on electronic systems, credit cards, debit cards, Apple Pay, and none of that works without electricity. During the 2018 Visa outage, millions couldn't buy gas, food or medicine for hours, and that was just a glitch. Now imagine that on a city-wide scale for days. In 2022, when Hurricane Ian devastated Florida, families with thousands in the bank couldn't buy bottled water because stores couldn't process cards. ATMs, they're just dead boxes without power. Bank branches, closed. Your wealth is worthless unless you can touch it. That's why real preppers don't just stash cash, they stash it smart. Small bills, 20s, 10s, 5s, and 1s. Because in a crisis, nobody's breaking a $100 bill for a loaf of bread. Keep it in waterproof, fireproof bags, hidden in multiple locations: home, car, workplace. And here's the kicker: you also need hard copies of critical documents, insurance, Idaho, medical records. Why? Because digital systems crash in blackouts, and proving who you are, what you own, or what you're entitled to becomes impossible. After the 2023 California wildfires, survivors without paperwork spent weeks fighting bureaucracy just to get basic assistance. Your money and your documents are your lifeline when everything else collapses. Treat them like survival gear, because that's exactly what they are. 1. Blackouts reveal who's truly prepared and who's a statistic. Here's the final truth nobody wants to face: blackouts separate the prepared from the helpless. There's no middle ground. Studies show that only about 25% of Americans have 3 days of emergency supplies. That means 3 out of 4 households are gambling with their lives every single year, because the average U.S. home now faces at least one outage annually. And outages aren't getting shorter, they're getting longer. Since 2011, weather-related blackouts have increased by 67%, and extreme events are pushing those numbers even higher. During Hurricane Ian, people weren't just inconvenienced, they were literally drinking out of puddles and burning furniture. During the Texas freeze, families were found frozen in their beds, because they thought the power would be back by morning. That's the lie we all tell ourselves, that the system won't fail us. But here's the wake-up call: the system already has. Infrastructure experts warn that the U.S. grid is so fragile, a major storm, cyber attack, or solar flare could plunge tens of millions into darkness for weeks. And when that happens, the people who survive aren't the ones with the biggest homes or the most gadgets. They're the ones who took preparation seriously. The ones who bought water barrels instead of flat-screen TVs. Who stocked cash, food and medical supplies, instead of hoping someone would save them. Blackouts aren't just about electricity, they're about survival. They strip away illusions and expose who's ready for reality. So ask yourself right now, are you prepared to thrive in the dark, or will you become just another tragic headline when the lights go out? Blackouts aren't science fiction anymore, they're the new American reality. Every storm, every heat wave, Every cyber attack warning pushes us closer to the dark. And when the lights go out, you either have a plan, or you become someone else's cautionary tale. Don't wait for FEMA. Don't wait for the grid to fail you again. Start preparing now, because the next blackout isn't a question of if, it's a question of when. Stay sharp, stay ready, and don't let the darkness catch you sleeping.